to the UN in Geneva. Thank you very, very much for taking the time to be here today, especially as we know you're quite busy preparing for the Human Rights Council session. My name is Natalie. I work for the UN Library and Archives in Geneva, and it's a pleasure to be able to moderate today's session for you. As I've mentioned already, this is an open mic session, so please, we kindly ask you to mute your microphones unless speaking. That would be great. So welcome to the Knowledge and Learning Commons. For those of you who are new to the Commons, this is our space at the UN in Geneva for informal knowledge sharing, especially on issues of multilateralism and professional development. And this space is now completely online, of course, due to COVID, but also a great change in how we can develop. And this is a space designed particularly not for the public, but for UN staff, interns, and diplomats yourselves across UN Geneva. So a special welcome to you. This session is a particular one. It's come up quite quickly, given the approaching Human Rights Council's 46th session. In particular, the delegations of Singapore and Estonia have requested on behalf of all the missions here a learning session today to prepare technically for a virtual Human Rights Council session, but in particular, how to use Webex for informal consultation. So that will be the main focus of today's session. Now, there are, of course, other briefings and information already being shared and provided to you by OHCHR and parts of UNOG that have been shared previously. So this session today is really a complement to this information that's being shared and that will be shared very soon, of course. Today, we actually have a collaboration, not just here in the library, but with colleagues from OHCHR, the Information and Communication Technology Service, and the Division of Conference Management. So thank you to all the colleagues who've come together quickly to put together this session. We'll introduce our speakers from these areas to you in just a moment. But we do have an hour together, and we realize this is quite a short period of time. So you'll see on the screen now the overview of what we'll go through together today. While we're largely focused on looking at Webex and how you can use it for your informal consultations, there have been some requests also to look at some of the technical modalities for the plenary session. So we do have a colleague here from OHCHR who'll give just a brief introduction at the very beginning. There is more information coming on that. So this is just a little introduction. Then we will move on, of course, to the Webex material. So we do recognize that some of the delegations are using other platforms for informal consultations, but for those who do not have that capacity, UNOG is providing the service for using Webex meetings. And so we'll show you how to go about making that request to choose the date and the time to be able to have your informal consultation, and also how to find the connection details to be able to share that with other delegates and other members who you'd like to be in those meetings. And then we'll do a live demo. We're here on Webex for that reason, so that our colleague from IT will be able to share with you the key features of Webex. And this is, of course, to support you as hosts of those consultations, knowing that you'll host and moderate these sessions, but also some key tips if you're an attendee to help you feel comfortable using the Webex platform. We also have time for Q&A. We're hoping to leave about 20 minutes or so also for Q&A with you for any particular questions that you have. If you'd like to ask that question verbally, this is no problem. You are welcome to. But we also have the chat feature, which is here. And you can see it if you activate the chat. And you can also type your question to us. Just make sure to click hit on everyone, so that we can see the questions and also my colleagues can also see them. Great. So moving on, I'd like to show you on the screen now the contributors for today's session, just so you know who they are, and also you'll see their faces soon. From the Information and Communication Technology Service, we have Mounir Khouja and Adio Sadiq Soulemain. He's also here just in case to provide backup to Mounir. Thank you so much. You can see Mounir on the screen now.
Hi, everybody. Good morning.
Mounir. Good morning. From OHCHR, we have Cynthia Mafoua, who's going to be sharing very soon. Also, Mini Kumar and Laura Giardini. They're here to answer any questions that you might have that might come up during the session. So thank you to our colleagues there. We also have Giovanna from OHCHR who's come to join us. From the Division of Conference Management, we have Anna Bianchieri. Thank you very much, Anna, for joining us, just in case you have questions for her. And from the Knowledge and Learning Commons side, we're very happy to coordinate this session. And here today is myself, Natalie. We also have Niverte Noberasco, who's here, and Nadia Droubi. They're here to help us also moderate the chat part. Fantastic. I think that's enough from me from now. I would now like to pass on to Cynthia to share a little bit more about the plenary session with you. So thank you, and over to you, Cynthia.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Cynthia from the Human Rights Council Secretariat, and I will just talk quickly about the modalities for remote participation at the plenary of the 46th session. So as during the UPR session, in-person participation will remain strictly limited, so only the delegates that are not able to pre-record video messages or participate via Zoom will be able to come to Assembly Hall to deliver their statement. So in order to do that, they must contact the Secretariat because of the 5-person limit in Switzerland. Remote participation will be accommodated via pre-recorded video messages or via live statements on Zoom. In regards to pre-recorded video messages, we ask you to upload them on the online registration system, spreg.ohr.org, and it must be done at least 2 hours before the debate for which they are submitted. In the platform, you will have to select attendance by video messages, and you will have to upload 4 mandatory documents: the transcript of the statement, the identification of the speaker, its accreditation, and the video file. You also have the opportunity to upload the subtitles if you have any for accessibility. So all the details on uploading your statement on Sprague are available in the list of speaker guidance note that was circulated last week. If you have any technical difficulties with Sprague, please feel free to contact HRC list of speakers at ohr.org. Also include the statement of the error message if you have one. When you pre-record your video message, please be mindful of the technical requirements that were mentioned in the guidance notes. And we also encourage you to put a country nameplate in front of the speaker and to insert caption of the name of the country in the video if you don't have the country nameplate. Now, in regard to the live remote participation, you will be able to deliver your statement live on Zoom, and we will use the same system as we did during the 29th special session to ensure the continuous real-time interpretation in English. So everyone will be connected in the listening room, but when the president will give the floor to the speaker will speak from the speaker room in order to avoid the issue of having the voice of the interpreter covering the voice of the speaker, or to have to cut the interpretation in the call. So people who feel comfortable enough with Zoom can move themselves from the speaker room when it is their turn to speak. If you don't feel comfortable enough with Zoom, the Secretariat will do it for you. And when you arrive in the speaker room, you can start speaking directly. So as I just say, Zoom will only transmit the English audio channel, but the 6 languages will be available in the webcast as during the 45th session. So all the information I just mentioned will be circulated to all permanent mission in a technical note later this week, and the technical note will also include indication on the exercise of procedural motion virtually. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Cynthia. So just to confirm, all of what you had mentioned plus some more details will be shared a bit later on with the member states.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for being here and for sharing this information. Great. So let's move on now to the majority, the main part of this session, which is looking at Webex and informal consultations. I would now like to invite Mounir Khouja from ICTS to lead us off. Over to you. Thank you, Mounir.
Thank you very much, Natalie. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining this session. My name is Mounir Khouja. I'm Operations Manager in ICTS. I'm dealing with all virtual meetings, WebEx, VTC, or meeting with interpretation. So today, the scope of our discussion is about WebEx. Natalie, if you could just share your presentation, please, that would be great. Thank you. Please, if you have some trouble to hear me, please just put a chat or just let me know, okay? Okay, I think we're good to go. So the first slide is about just to give you a high-level process how to actually plan your meeting. So the first step is to make a request, of course, and this should go through your focal points. You should send them all details about your session, the date, the time, the number of participants. It's critical because it depends on the type of the virtual technology we're going to use, depends on the number of participants. And also one of the important things is about who is going to be the host or the moderator. Because as mentioned by Natalie, this is a self-service, so you're going to be moderating yourself, choosing one of your organizing team, a member from your organizing team to do the moderation. The second step is that once the focal point gets all details, the Mini, I think she's the focal point for this for your session. She will create a request to our booking system, and the support team actually approves usually the day after the request, and then we send back all details about the Webex sessions, which means the links for participant, the links for speaker in case you want to have different links, and also the key, the host key, which is a pin actually that elevate a participant to be a host and moderate the session. The next slide, please, Natalie. So that's before the meeting. The day of the meeting, we start usually the support team. Actually, we start the session 30 minutes before. And if you want even 1 hour before, just let us know and put this request in your initial request so that we can plan this in our operations. So we open usually 30 minutes before, and we wait for the moderator from the organizing team to join, and we hand over to him or to her the host role. And we stay back actually in the background and monitoring the sessions among many other sessions we are monitoring at the same time. So just one note here that the moderator should be comfortable with the host role. Of course, we are offering actually a special training, special briefing for hosts or for your team members that want actually to take over that role, and we can offer actually some training specific to show them how to moderate, the best practices, and some technical tips. Next slide, please, Natalie. So let's just give you I'm going to just give you 3 screenshots about Webex, then we're going to move forward to a live demonstration. So the first screenshot is to connect to Webex. I think you already did this. I just want to highlight some unknown features. So the first one is that you use to connect to your computer audio, so which means that you have a headset, you have a camera, so that's the classic way to connect. The second one is to call me at, so you can actually put a number so that Webex calls you actually in that number. The other way is that to call in, so you use actually, we give you a number of a list of numbers according to your location, so that to make it less expensive, let's say, so you can call to that number and to join for the audio. The last option is that don't connect to audio. This is useful for participants that don't need actually to listen to intervene. They only need actually to share content with our presentation. Those are options available for just to let you know. Next screenshot is about an overview of the interface. So quickly, I think you already know most of it because you are already in. So you can change the video layout here. The first so we're gonna see this together. So you can change the video layout. You can even actually unlock, because you see that the windows of participant, the windows of chat, and the videos are embedded in the same window. With that unlock, the floating panel view, you can actually unlock them, and that you can distribute. Maybe if you have 2 screens, you can distribute the chat participant list in one screen, and you can keep the list of videos in the other screen. So here in the below of the screenshot, we have how to mute yourself, stop your video, share, record, whatever. If you have access to that option of recording, because it's only available to the hosts. So yes, use the chat, and those are meeting controls. Next slide, please, Natalie. So once you click on share content, there are many options available to you. You you see first actually the list of windows, the list of documents, applications you have already opened. You can see Excel, just an example here. But the most interesting is that you can actually share a file. So this is you see the third line in the screenshot. You can share a file or share other application, whatever, if you want to. So that's it for the overview. I will go just now for a live demonstration just to see it, how it looks like in real life, let's say. So I'm gonna share my screen. Natalie.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mounir.
Very good. Here we are. I think you can see my screen. So I'll just share my meeting window. I presume you see my screen of Webex, right?
Correct.
As you can see, it's a bit heavy. It's a really heavy interface. I'm just gonna focus only on the basic feature and the most needed features. So just do not panic, please. So let me start with the layout. So you see here many options available to you: a grid view, a stage view, or a focus view. So, and also you can actually screen or hide participant with video off. You show all names, hide names. So that's sometimes it's useful when you want to actually focus only on the presentation. Then you have here the right hand of the screen. You have the list of participants. You can actually hide the list of participants. You can see here the number of participants. Since we are 120, so it's not easy to see all of them. So one of the search box is really useful for that. So you can search for Natalie, for instance, or with whoever is in the list. One more point here in the list of participants, it gives you an idea who is in the meeting and also their roles. As you can see in my name, I have this host. That means I am the host, and I have my colleague Sadiq, who has kindly joined me to assist me in this meeting, and he's the co-host. He means that he has the same power as I have. The only power that he doesn't is that he cannot make a co-host. So this is the only difference between him and me. And also there's you see a little circle here of the icon of Cisco Webex. That means I am the presenter. It's a little ball actually that moves across all participants. So you need to know that only at one time we can have only one presenter. So that's just for your information. That's all you need to know. You see that also you can chat specifically with, for instance, from Ahmed from mission. You can select whoever you want to chat with. And you can see also that who is muted and who is not. So if you don't have enough space in your screen, you can reduce the participant list and you can actually enlarge the chat so that you can see what's going on in the chat. And also, as you know, that you can chat actually with everybody, or you can specifically choose here a specific person to chat with. That's for the list of participants and for the chat. Let's move now to the below menu, where you start from the left. You see the mute mic, so you can hear different options actually. I have different actually. I have a headset Jabra. I can also have an entry, a mic, embedded mic of my laptop, and you can choose different settings. If you want to go further in details, we can go during the Q&A session. Then you have the option videos. As you can see, I have only one camera. I can go to the settings to choose which camera I want to in case I have many. And also one of the very good features actually was upgraded recently, 6 months ago. It's a change the virtual background, and you can choose whatever actually we can even upload actually a nice background of your logo of your mission or whatever, if you want to include that. Here is the sharing content. So sharing content actually for this session, specifically for this Webex session, we made it available to everybody, to all participants. In case you want to restrict access to share content to only a list of participants, that's also an option. And if you could include that in your request, that would be great. So that's so we know that which kind of settings we're gonna configure your session for. As I said, I record is because I am the host. Otherwise, you don't have that option. And you have also the breakout session. This is also not available for all participants. The 3 dots here just actually the same, just a quick access to, you can switch the audio and you can connect to a video system. So those are, let's say, more advanced features that we usually don't. But what I want to show you here is the copy meeting link. So that's in case one of your participants, they are actually lost and sending you last minute email, please give us the link. So you can use that actually, an easy access to the link of the meeting. You can share it quickly and easily with your participants. So that's it. I mean, those are the main features. Otherwise, we have other different menus here. And I think if you want to have, we're going to send you actually a user guide that explains everything. So the last manipulation I will do, Natalie, is that, so I will share actually a file with you. So that actually includes the user guide. So here, I go to share file, share in a file. Of course, I'll go to quick access, here, training, user guide, and here we are. Normally, you should get an information that you have received actually the file. Okay, that's it from my side. I will stop sharing. I will give back the floor to Natalie. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mounir. That's so helpful to see the interface there. I have a few questions actually about that and whether you'd be able to share a bit more about the host role. So when delegates request a meeting, they're to share with you the host that they would like to have so that they can control the actual modalities of their meeting. Is that correct?
Yes, that's
okay.
Correct.
So this should be definitely communicated to the focal point at OHCHR
yes.
At the time of creating the meeting request.
Yes. So in that case, if the host and the person actually doesn't feel comfortable, we can make a test session when we explain everything. And as I said, the team is actually sitting behind in the background, actually is waiting and monitoring all sessions. So that's just a reassurance for the host.
Okay, fantastic. And can you have more than one host? Can the delegation share with you 2 or 3 names?
So that's what I mentioned. We have the co-host. Actually, we can have only one host at a time, but we can have co-host.
Okay, that would be, I think, very useful for the delegations to have at least 2 people who are able to make these kind of setting changes.
Yes.
Okay. And Daniel from the Singapore mission is asking, could you share with us the way to turn off the beeping sound when colleagues join or leave a Webex meeting? Is this possible? I think you're on mute, Mounir.
Yes, you can. Go ahead, Sadiq.
Yes, yes, you can do this as the meeting host. So if you go under participants and there's a menu called entry and exit tone, then you should be able to disable this. So Mounir, you can try it on your side.
Yeah, this is one of the things we can actually configure for the meeting. So we can disable that tone. Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
great. Thank you for this feedback. So when delegates do request this meeting, shall they mention that they would not like a beep sound, or it will be something that will automatically?
It's up to you, yes, because sometimes it's useful because you hear somebody is coming in, so you check who is there, but it's up to you, up to client to decide if they want to have that beep or not.
Okay, thank you very much. So
by default, it's N, it's activated, but
it's a default activation.
Yes.
Okay, so something to keep in mind when making your requests. With regard to sharing the attachments, thank you for doing that. And I can see the Webex meeting user guide now on the screen. Is there a way for us to download this when we receive it?
Yes, normally you can download it.
Okay.
Give me a second. Okay. You can download it. You can see it to download, Natalie. Give me a second.
We can view it, which is great. But in terms of downloading, there might be a few buttons that would be useful to know in order to download the recording.
Okay. Let me just check it.
While we're waiting for Mounir there, do not hesitate if you have any more questions to pose them in the chat. We see a few coming in now. That's fantastic.
Okay. Sorry.
So just while we wait for Mounir, the answer in terms of the beeping sound is that it's activated by default. And if you would prefer not to have the tone for your meetings, just to make that clear in your request to the OHCHR focal point, so that they know, the ICTS will know to take that out of your settings. While we're here also, Mounir Kumar from OHCHR is with us. She is the established focal point from OHCHR. So Mounir, would you like to say a few words while we wait?
Thank you, Natalie, and good morning, everybody. I'm Mounir Kumar, and I'm the focal point for informal consultation for the 46th session. And I'll be mostly liaising between the member states and colleagues. So if you want to send a request, you can send it to me directly, mentioning the title, date, and time. To my email address, which is indicated in the Webex meeting user guide. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mounir. And also, it would be great also for delegates to share the hosts they would like and the focal point for sending the meeting, and if they need any support in terms of further training. Great. We have a few more questions coming in too, and we will firstly allow Mounir to share the file, and then we'll get to those questions. Thank you for your patience. Okay, great. So Mounir, I think you're on mute, but I do believe attendees will now see a file transfer window popping up. Great, and we can now download that file.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So for delegates who would like to share files during their session, is there a way they can do this as the host?
Yes, this is what I just did actually, yes.
Okay, and to allow the download function, is there a specific button to press?
You have already that you can download the user guide, right, Natalie?
Yes, exactly. In terms of the host, though, if they'd like to do that live, are there a few things that they should know in order to be able to make it downloadable?
Yes, actually, I can share it. Just give me a second. I don't want to go really deeper in the role of the host, but as I said, we can actually offer a special session for the host to show them actually how they can do it. But let me check quickly. Do it here. So you go to File and Transfer instead of sharing, and you just choose actually the location of the file, and here you go.
Okay, fantastic. So file.
It's easy, yes.
Okay, so the share function is really to share something on your screen, like a PowerPoint or a
Yes,
file.
yes.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. That's great. So thanks a lot to Mounir for this demonstration. We have a few more questions coming in from the audience. I was actually curious myself, and hopefully it's helpful to everyone. Is there a raise your hand function in WebEx meetings, or is there another way that moderators can take questions in an orderly manner?
Yes, you can actually, in front of your name, if you hover your in the participant list, you see it's not visible, it's not user-friendly. I agree. But if you hover your name, you see a little hand. So you click on that, you see that my hand is raised now. So that everybody can see it, yes.
Okay, that's really useful to know. Thank you.
It's not user-friendly, frankly speaking. It's hidden.
Yeah, that's a good tip then for any future hosts of these meetings to remember to share this with your delegates and those in the meetings. So let's then head over to Q&A about this. For those who do have a question, please do raise your hand. Just as mentioned by Mounir, hover over your name and you can raise your hand and I'll be able to see that you have a question, or you can type it in, and we have a few questions already in writing. So let's go through those while we wait. There is a question about changing your name while you're already in a Webex meeting. I see that Nadia has also responded to that. So it's under the Edit My Profile section. So thank you for sharing, Nadia, that. You can change and put the first name and last name as you wish for them to appear. For those who cannot find Edit Your Profile, Mounir, would you mind sharing where we find this?
I'm sorry, like I was not able to listen. The connection was not good. Would you repeat how to change the name?
Thank you very much for your question. Yes, we'll go through this right now. Mounir, I do believe you're on mute.
I can jump in here. In fact,
Yes, go.
the name change cannot be done once you're already in the meeting. You have to do it before. The edit profile is for those who have, let's say, Webex accounts. But if you're coming in as a guest through a link, you always have to go out of the meeting, or just before you click join button, you have the possibility to edit your name. But once you're in the meeting, you have to come out and log back in with a different name.
Thank you so much. And this is available before you enter the meeting, from what I understand.
Yes.
Okay, so when you click on the Webex meeting link, it opens up, and before you join, you can change your name.
Yes.
Okay, this is good to know. Thank you. I hope that that's helpful for everybody, and apologies that you cannot do it already in the meeting itself. So please do make sure to share with your participants. On to any other questions? We have a few questions here about raising your hand. So just as a reminder, all you have to do is hover over your name and you can see a little hand that's being raised. And then another question coming in from Annie Ditio, thank you. I think that the procedures do not apply if we use Webex through a web browser. So I'm not able to access the file download button nor raise a hand while using the web browser. Mounir and Sadiq, do you have any feedback on this and any recommendations if you're using a web browser?
Go ahead, Sadiq.
Yeah. For the raise hands, you should always have it as a participant. So if you hover over your name and you don't have it, on the lower right-hand corner of where you have the chat, just where you have the chat and the Q&A, there should be a raise hand. It's quite tiny. You may miss it, but there's a raise hand right there. Even if it doesn't work with the application on your desktop. For the file download, it's a limitation for the browser, participant joining via the browser, because it's not an application, so it doesn't know exactly where to pull the file to. So it's something that we will push also to the platform developer, Cisco, Webex in this case, to ask if there are other alternative solutions.
Thank you very much, Sadiq. So do you recommend then that delegates, if we're using Webex, do have the application installed on their laptop? Is that a better way to approach this?
Yes, the desktop application is always better. You have better control of it, and in terms of even your name, once like the previous question, you can change your name and have more functionalities with the desktop app to the browser.
Okay, great. That's very clear. Thank you.
If I may add,
yes,
Natalie,
Mounir.
it's also better to use the application for optimization of the video and the audio. Because if you use the browser, we are depending on the performance of the browser. So it's better to use the app, which actually best optimized for video and audio streaming.
Great, thank you so much for confirming. I do recommend it too, if you can, to download the Webex application. Niverte is also mentioning that for raising a hand, if it's easier for you, there's a small little icon for emojis at the bottom of your screen. If you click on that, you can see a series of emojis as well as the raise hand function. So hopefully that will work for you as well. So you have two options there for raising your hands. Thanks to Niverte for sharing that information. Great. So if there are any other questions, please don't hesitate to ask us now. You can either raise your hand or you can write to us in the chat section. For now, I don't see many raised hands. So we will just wait a few minutes just in case you do have any more questions on Webex. Nothing at the moment? Okay. We also saw a comment about receiving these slides. We're very happy to share them with you, and we'll be able to do that after the session. We will send it through our focal points to organize who organized this meeting from the delegations of Singapore and Estonia. Okay, we do have Jairo Rodriguez from Cuba. Please, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. First of all, thanks to Estonia and Singapore for being leaders and focal points in this issue. Very important for us. And also thanks to the colleagues from the library and OECHR for the presentation and for practical guidance. It's very useful, at least for me. That I'm very new to these all technology platforms, and it will be very useful indeed for all of us, at least this year or for a few months. I think I understood many of the things, and in the practical moment when, because Cuba will present a resolution, so we will request at some point a meeting for having our informal for a single informal for 3 resolutions as is traditional. So we'll be contacting our colleague in the office, and I think I understood many of the things. Now on the sharing file things, I think it will be useful, first of all, for colleagues to share in the appropriate platform the video of this presentation or the guide through the system in order for us to be able to download it and have it and to see how it is done. Because I'm thinking, for example, in the moment of presenting resolution, it will be useful. Also, it is shared in the delegates platform, the resolution, for everybody to see, download it, etc. And for the co-sponsorship, it will be useful to share at the moment of the informals any concrete proposals through text or through the chat. I mean, for everyone to have better options and at the choice to have options to share, proposal of languages, amendments, and so on. And also, if there is other background information or, I don't know, reports or whatever be useful for delegations at the moment of negotiations, I think it's important for us to learn how to do it. And if we can do it, some testing now on how to download or share a file, that will be very useful. So thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, sir. That's great. And these are great questions. I will pass to Mounir and also Sadiq for any more information on this. So from what I understand, it was to be able to share content directly during a meeting, because that's when it's going to be most useful as well, especially documents and other recommendations that are coming up. So I know we have been through this once, but perhaps Mounir and Sadiq, you could just walk us through again the possibilities for this. Is it only for the hosts of the meetings, or can attendees of the meetings also share files?
So as I said, the setup of this meeting specifically for this session that everybody can share their screen. They share content, actually. They can share whatever content they want, whether a document or presentation. That was the setup for the session. But you may consider, for instance, for whatever reason, that you to restrict this right, this privilege to only to a subset of participants. Let's say those are speakers, those are the presenters. In that case, we should know about that need, and we have to set up the meeting in a way that not all participants can share the screen, share their content, only a set of, and we create two links. One link for the what we call the speakers, the presenters, or panelists, is a technical term used by Webex, is a panelist, and we have a different link for all participants. But during the meeting, the host can actually use what we call the promotion. He can promote a normal participant to be a panelist, or they can actually give them the role to the privilege to share the screen or to start speaking or activate their video. So we have two configurations. So this is what we call actually a controlled mic meeting. For the session today is an open mic. So everybody in here, 109 participants can actually activate their mic, can activate their camera as they wish. Still the host actually can unmute them or can mute them still, but everybody is actually free and has the privilege to, sorry, in a controlled mic session, Webex session, and the product is called Webex. Okay, so just getting in a controlled mic. That's actually the mic is controlled for normal participant, and not for the panelists. So that's why we create two links for each of kind of participants. I hope that is answer your question. And that, as I said, if you, for instance, we can actually specify if you have a meeting, whenever you have a meeting, let's say we actually arrange a test session for you, 30 minutes to go through different features again, just to make you comfortable.
Okay, thank you, Mounir. Yeah. So for these extra training sessions, shall the delegates also request this to the focal point, and
yes.
so it's all in one package for you when you receive it?
Yes, please. So in that way, you request the test session separately from the session itself, so that we have that planning, to have that in our planning.
Okay, so just so it's clear for everybody, if you would like some extra training from ICTS, especially as the host, please do make sure that this is communicated in your request for the informal consultation meeting, and that you add that you would like a separate test, so that colleagues from ICTS can support you through some of these more detailed elements if you're a host. Okay, that's really great to know. Thank you. There is a question from Malin from Sweden. Thank you for your question. Is the attendance limited in Webex, for example, 100 persons, or should you indicate the number of participants you're expecting at your meeting?
Yes, that's why I requested actually the number of participants. It's up to 1,000. The Webex is comfortable with, but if you have more, then we have a different setup of Webex, what we call Webex event, that we can have two kind actually of participant, what we call the active participants. That's an active participant can share his audio and his video. That we can go up to 1,000. But for observers and for passive active participants, we can go up to 10,000. This is also one of the things that you should include in your request.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mounir. So hopefully that answers your question, Malin, and hopefully you wouldn't have 10,000 people at your meeting.
It is sometimes, it happens that we have 10,000. I mean, it's not.
Yeah.
But it happens.
Mounir, I do believe that you're still sharing your screen, just for your awareness there.
Yes, I'm still sharing my screen. You want to share your presentation?
We still have a few more questions, so that's okay for you to keep it on for now.
Yes.
Gabrielle Sarafian, if you are there, I do see your hand raised. The floor is yours if you have a question.
Yes, thank you. So I put a question in the chat, but maybe I didn't hear the answer. It was related to the beginning of the meetings. do the attendees join a waiting room and they will be invited by the host, or they will just auto join the meeting? Thank you.
Thank you very much for this question, Gabriel. Yes, actually, this is one of the configurations that really we can custom your meeting for. That you, if you want a lobby configuration, so that's for a security reason or whatever clearance. So we create a lobby, and the participant join that lobby, and they join the meeting only when the host actually cleared them and permitted them to accept them to the session. That's also one options we can activate for your session. It's available also in Webex.
Thank you, Mounir, and thank you, Gabrielle, for this question. Should it also be something that's highlighted before during the request, or can this be a feature that's activated with you before the meeting starts?
We assume that it's not required if it's not required. So by default, we don't activate it because it adds actually an additional layer, and it's an additional responsibility for the host, and it's time consuming. And you should consider it. So that we usually actually discuss with the requester to check if they really need it. If they have a 20 participant, that's okay. But if they have 100 or 200 participants, it's a time-consuming task actually to check one by one to let them in the session. But it's up to the client. We can activate whatever they requires us to do.
Good, thank you for confirming, and hopefully that's useful to you, Gabrielle. So if you do wish to have a waiting room, this should be specifically mentioned in the request to your focal point. But yes, to note that would also mean perhaps more work on your side, and to be prepared with you or some other colleagues to be able to manage the accepting from the waiting room into the main room. Okay, great. I think we have answered all questions now. I don't see any other raised hands, so thank you very much for your participation, and hopefully it's been very useful for you now. If you do have any other questions, don't hesitate to let us know, and we'd be happy to share. But the main point of today was really to help you get comfortable with Webex, at least the interface, and to know the procedure to be able to request for your informals, so that you'll feel more comfortable. To our other speakers who have joined us today, from OHCHR or also from IT, do you have anything you would like to add before we end the session? Perhaps Giovanna or Lara, if there's anything you'd like to add? No?
No, thank you very much, Natalie. Thank you.
Okay, no worries. Thank you. So as Cynthia mentioned earlier, some more information on the plenary session will be shared later. So this will be something a bit separate to today's session. All right, so I do believe we've gone through the main points we wanted to get through today. So thank you for sticking with us. We will share the slides already after the session and the video recording, unless you want to go back and take a look at more of, or share this with people who could join us today. There are a few more slides before we go that we would like to share with you. And so I'll just get them ready for you now. There are a few things we thought might be useful for you as diplomats to be able to help you through parts of your work, not just for the Human Rights Council, but for other sessions too. And so I'll just share my screen now. Mounir, I think that this is my screen being shared.
Yes, it is. It is.
Okay,
Just
fantastic.
This is the last slide. Actually.
The last slide. Okay, on sharing content. Great. So hopefully everyone's got that. So as we mentioned earlier, there is a UNOG Webex user guide that's been already distributed, and also it was shared at this session. Please, if you have not read it already, we do recommend you read that and look carefully at the instructions to be able to make these requests, and a few tips as well on using Webex in writing. Here at the Commons, there are a few things we'd also like to share, just in case that might be interesting for you. One of them is the Conference Primers, which is a guide to conferences in Geneva. So if you aren't aware of the primers already, it's a new project that's been created by the library, where you'll find key takeaways and summaries of the major conferences that are held in Geneva. We have a little screen here showing you some of the interface of that, and you can go to the URL here if you'd like to take a look at the conference primers. My colleagues from the Commons can also share this link in the chat with you. We also do a lot of learning sessions at the Commons, and so some ones coming up in the rest of February. We have one already tomorrow on information literacy, so ways that we can continue to combat the infodemic in the time of COVID, especially with regard to social media, also understanding what resources are at the library to help you build on your knowledge and literacy, as well as be able to assess multiple sources of information. So we invite you to join us for this one tomorrow. And then next week, one that might be particularly interesting for you, if you have time during the Human Rights Council session, the power of cultural diplomacy. We have Dr. Elizabeth Colton joining us, and she'll be sharing from her experience the ways that cultural diplomacy relate to multilateralism. And our colleague also from the library, Thomas Krieger, will share about the program here at UN Geneva in case you have not been a part of the program yet. So hopefully you can join us there. You can find the details on our website, commons.ungeneva.org, and you can also just send us an email at commons@un.org if you have any questions about that. We'd also love your feedback on today's session and any future knowledge sharing sessions you would like. So don't hesitate to share with us in the QR code here. There's a little survey form, or you can email us as well. But for all of you for joining, we know that you have a busy week ahead. So thank you for taking this time. We also thank our speakers for being here today and sharing all of this information with you. And if you do have anything else that you would like to share, don't hesitate. You can find us at commons@un.org. So that's it for now. We hope it's been useful. We wish you all the best at the Human Rights Council session next week, and as you continue this important work. We wish you all the best for the rest of the day too, and hope to see you soon at the Commons. Bye for now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Shall I end the meeting? Natalie?
Yes, Mounir, I think we are good to go. Thank you very much.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you, everybody.
You are the only call